India is not a traditional pathway for any higher education.
Africa is a continent, not a country.
Most of the traditional pathways for international education are again in the West, US, UK, Canada and all, Australia. First thing is sell the India story.
Yes, like why should they come to India?
Many universities need to be looking at how do they bring in the foreigners and support them when they arrive.
How important do you think is learning by doing and bridging the industry academia gap so that students have defined outcomes after their 3 years, 4 years of college and not just a degree at the end of it?
Work experience is such an important element of education. Students would not be able to succeed if they're not able to practice what they're learning. So,
Masters Union's concept of learn by doing gets them ready for the workforce. It's not just your graduation degree.
Learn by doing can also be a struggle. It's challenging, it's competitive, and it would be great to hear.
Hi, welcome. This is Ankur Bora, your host for Intersect by Masters Union podcast series. We have today with us three distinguished leading career counselors from Africa. I have with me Mr. Franco and we have Mr. Barry coming from International School Uganda, and we have Miss Lucinda coming from Aga Khan School, Mombasa. Thank you so much for being here with us. I mean, it's an honor to have three of you here on our campus from Africa. As I was saying, I mean, it was our dream that we'll have so many wonderful counselors from all over the world coming and having an interaction with us and engaging with our community. I'm so honored that three of you, I mean, I can call three of you my dear friends also, that you are here, and we are looking forward to hosting you over the next 3 days for Intersect 5. Welcome.
Thank you.
I have traveled in Africa. I mean, I've traveled to about 20 odd countries on the continent, and I think the first time I went to Africa was to this wonderful place called Abuja in Nigeria, in West Africa. That's where my journey started almost 15 years back. And then, work took me to West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, and all these places. And I've always been a staunch supporter of the continent. I think the energy that this place has, I mean, the students are brilliant, the teachers are inspiring. And I started working on an international scholars program at Ashoka, where we used to get so many African students on full scholarship to come and study with us at Ashoka. And I think those were some of my best moments working in international higher ed, to bring those kids here. And ever since then, I have always tried in my own small way to bring this continent, have the spotlight on it. But you are the three people that are actually working there and working day in and day out. So, let's start with a little bit about each one of you. I know you, but I think my audience would love to know a little bit more about who you are, the work that you are doing, the school, the country, and, what's the general student population like in your institutions. So let's start with Franco.
Perfect. I'm Francisco Mergulhao. Barry and I work at the International School of Uganda, as well as running education consultancy based out of India. But today's context is specifically Africa and Uganda. So our student demographic is mainly about 60% expat students, 40% Ugandan students studying at an IB school in Uganda.
Wonderful. Barry?
Just coming on from what Franco said, my name is Barry Phipps. At the moment, I'm working at the International School of Uganda, but I used to work in Nigeria at an international school, the American International School in Lagos, as well as the Harare International School in Zimbabwe. So this is sort of about my 10th or so year living on the continent. As Franco said, working specifically with students from the Uganda context.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I want to add my 2 cents also here to your introductions. I mean, I know Franco from my C Alpha days. I mean, a fantastic guy, and Franco, more power to you as you are growing and doing fantastic work in international education. Barry, you are a legend.
Maybe sold.
Your work at Oberoi International School, Mumbai, has been the story of great impact. And, I heard your name when I was at Ashoka. Although I used to do international outreach and be out of India most of the times, but still, your name, whenever it was taken in our meetings, it was with high regards. So you have done some fantastic work, and we are truly honored to have you here with us. Lucinda, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Lucinda Ochieng. I am one of the university counsellors at the Aga Khan Academy, Mombasa. I'd say I worked for schools, international curriculum schools, for the last 10 years. My background is in psychology and counselling, so I've done a lot of socio-emotional mental health support for students in schools, and now for the last 4 years I've been doing college counselling. So this is amazing. Thank you so much.
And I think you are doing some fantastic work at Aga Khan Academy, Mombasa. I was there a couple of years back. If not a couple of years back, but maybe some time back. I've been there multiple times. It's a beautiful institution. And now you are leading it, the career counseling aspect. Yes. And so tell us a little bit more about, let's dive into, the kind of students that you work with, and, what are the career choices that they are looking at your institution.
Okay, so we are just like your school. We're a full IB world school. We have students, curriculum starts from the PYP program, so from grade 1 all the way till grade 12. Currently I have a cohort of IB diploma students, around 160 split. I think I'd say I have 88 grade 11s and 72 grade 12s looking to graduate in May of 2025, which is exciting. Our students go everywhere. To be honest, if there's a university in a country, in the world, it's our job to get them there. So wonderful. We don't have like the luxury to specialize in, let's say, our students go to this particular part of the world.
So it's like a very diverse community.
Yes. We have diverse student community. We have students from, I'd say, roughly more than 6 African countries. So not just Kenyan, but Ugandans, Tanzanians, a few from Mozambique, a few from Zimbabwe. And we have also students who, like I said, who be ethnically either Pakistani or Indian, but are living in Congo, or living in Uganda, living in Tanzania. Yeah. So we have, based on the ethos and mission and vision of His Highness the Aga Khan. So we have also, it's almost like a community school. Okay. So, but regardless, education is for all is one of his mission, His Highness, and we will accept students from any part of the world. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I think you and me also go back at least 5 or 4 years. I mean, you are also doing some phenomenal work. I remember 2 years back when we hosted the Indian Counsellors Fly-In, you were there, part of that fly-in, and we took you around to about 5 campuses, and the energy that you had at that time exploring Indian universities was amazing. I'll come to Indian institutions and how they can reach out to your students, but before we do that, Franco, why don't you speak a little bit about the school that you represent, the community, and the career choices that they are looking at?
Sure. Like, I think all our students go abroad. None of them stay back in Uganda, but unlike, I think, your school where it's super diverse, ours is not super diverse. It's still concentrated towards US being the most popular, Canada, UK, Europe, and then we have some outliers that are applying to different countries like Norway, Denmark, India possibly, Asia, but it's still highly concentrated to some of the traditionally popular regions. And the careers that they apply to are a mix, with still engineering, law, business being popular, but then you have some of our students that are actually targeting conservation, environmental science, architecture. So the majors that they look at, or the careers, are more diverse, but the regions-wise, we're hoping that the world opens up to having students considering all different locations, including India, as one of the possible options.
Wonderful. Now coming to Barry, and probably I'll add a bit one more question to this. I mean, you have had a very, 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 very strong career in career counseling. I mean, from Africa to Mumbai, India, and you have seen the world. I remember, I mean, I keep following you on LinkedIn. You're traveling the world universities. I mean, and you're exploring non-traditional institutions as well. I mean, not traditional universities. So let's dive down a little bit upon your own entrepreneurial journey. I mean, Dreamac Consulting, the company that you founded with Franco, and then your work in Africa with International School Uganda. I mean, what inspired you to start Dreamac Consulting after such a fantastic career? I mean,
I think for me, I went from counselling, social emotional counselling, career counselling, that type of thing, into administration, which is where I was at in Oberoi. But for, I think, us in particular, COVID happened. And COVID happened in a way that allowed us and lots of people globally to rethink what's important about life, what's important about how to live life, and building upon strengths and what you wanted out of life was a pathway into what we decided to do about building a company, and it was a niche company or a boutique company. We're not looking at becoming this world leader. We're just looking at doing a good job with a small cohort, and allowing us to build on or take advantage of the remote working model. Our work with Dreamac is entirely remote. We love it because we can work from anywhere. We may be working from the Rhine and doing our sessions in the middle of the night or early morning, so time differences is a bit of a pain in the neck, but being able to provide a strong package that's tailored to specific kids, whether they're in grade 9 or whether they're in grade 12, and helping them get wherever it is that they want to go to from wherever it is that we are at different times. Franco can be working from Goa, I can be working from Australia. I think it's taking advantage and remembering that we're here for a short time, and get on with that. Especially when you've got grey hair like me, it's get on with making the most of all that you can do. Yeah,
I think what a combination between you two. I mean, experience and the energy. I'm not saying you don't have the energy. You have the energy. Having worked with Franco, I mean, a smart guy, a young guy, and bringing that energy. And when I heard that this company got established and Francisco was working with you, I said, amazing. I mean, what a dream team. And the work that both of you are doing is phenomenal. I mean, I'm a silent admirer of your work. Now I'm admiring in front of the cameras. But and that's why I wanted you to be here. I think what you're doing, as you said, is boutique, and you are opening some new pathways. And your work with exploring universities, when I keep seeing your posts, is amazing. And it requires a lot of energy to be there and open those doors for yourself and then your students, and then amazing. More power to you. Thank you, and keep doing great work. Lucinda, now coming to you, I just want to talk about I have a lot of friends in the Indian higher education that always talk about Africa. That there is great potential in that country, and you were there on the India fly-in that we did 2 years back, and you loved the Indian universities that we took you to, and you said, I mean, there is huge opportunity, and you will recommend these universities to your students. So, what are those 2-3 things that you think Indian universities need to do more to engage your students in Africa? I know it works both ways. I mean, the Indian universities will have their own stereotypes about Africa, and the African students will have their own stereotypes about India. And it comes from a very limited knowledge both the places have about each other. And I mean, India is not a traditional pathway for any higher education per se. I mean, most of the traditional pathways for international educations are again in the West. I mean, US, UK, Canada, and all, Australia probably, and then few universities in Europe. And now we are seeing this renaissance in Indian higher education, where I was just talking about it. I mean, there's a lot of now activity happening with international universities setting up campuses, TNE happening, institutions like Masters Union, Ashoka, Jindal, Flames, and they're coming up. What is your advice from the ground? I mean, you are there with your students.
I was. I mean, first of all, that was one of the most phenomenal experiences I'd ever been to. It was an intense week, but extremely memorable. Yeah. I think the one thing Indian universities need to think about, especially those that haven't taken time to understand how to recruit internationally, is how to recruit internationally and how to take care of students who come from because India in itself is a very rich country, rich, diverse cultures, and then you have a student who is coming from Africa, sometimes has never left Africa, or maybe if they've left their country in Africa, has just been within Africa. And I think just there's a certain level of openness that the students need to come with and the universities need to have. I mean, just from that trip, I was successful to be able to place 2 of our high need students at Flame. I was. Excellent. And it was one of the most remarkable, I think, experiences in my career.
Wow, I'm so happy.
But working with Flame made me understand that they were also trying to understand how to support our students, and we were also trying to help them understand how to support our students. So I love that they were very collaborative from the onset, from the admissions process, from when the students received the offer, how we were able to take the students through the offer and up until departure when they left. So it's I guess if universities like those that that recruit aggressively, if universities in India are willing to just take time to form those niche collaboration with schools, sometimes those partnerships go a long way. And as counselors, it's our sole responsibility to ensure that we are giving our students a holistic experience and understanding of what higher education looks like, especially in India. But for me, I just like the fact that even in higher education, especially in India, it's very diverse. You have liberal arts colleges, and you have also just traditional universities that have that structure. So depending on the needs of the student academically and the families, I've been able to get that experience and expertise from that trip to know which universities will be the best fit for my students, because I know their diverse needs, and now I have an idea of what Indian higher education looks like. So I think Indian universities or universities from India need to just take their time, come and visit us, because we actually want them to show up physically on campus if they can. Otherwise, we know all these universities that have the budget, to travel and do these visits, but we really want them to come in.
No, I thank you so much. That's such a insightful advice. I mean, one of the things that I can say from a university perspective, having traveled in Africa, I am a staunch. When we did the Counsellor fly-in, I said, it is good that you travel to those countries, but unfortunately, there is a gap. When Indian universities travel, they generally go for an expo. So they will set up a table in a nice 5-star hotel, and then they will not connect with the entire school community there, which is a big gap. And when I used to travel early on in my career, when I went to these expos, and they are pretty expensive to travel to and be part of, and I never met any school principal or a counselor in those expos. So I used to make my own efforts to reach out, to probably stay back for 2 days and then go around and meet a few people that I really think can resonate with what Indian higher education has to offer. I think that has to happen. And second thing, I think the counselors, it is also to give exposure to counselors like you about Indian education, right? That's why we invited all of you here today, and we have people coming from 15 countries. Unless people come and see for themselves, for all things, education is also very competitive, right? There's so many universities, so many countries, and being a non-traditional country, it is our duty to educate our counselors that this is happening. You should take note of this, and you should come here and see that this is real. You meet my students, meet my faculty, and make your own opinion. Most of the times it should not be only stuffing brochure down a counselor's neck and saying, "Oh, start selling this brochure to your students." I think that's a gap that I see in our sector. But thank you so much. Francisco, any advice for us and Indian higher education? What can we do apart from
Yeah, I think one main thing that universities also need to understand that Africa is a continent, not a country.
Yeah.
Like, the needs of Nigeria would be very different from Kenya or Uganda, even culturally how they recruit in those countries. And I think universities need to collaborate in terms of getting India, like you said, it's non-traditional, understanding that let's sell India. Why should they come to India? And then
Absolutely.
A certain university, because
Absolutely.
if a student's not considering India,
Yeah.
Masters Union might be a great university,
Yeah.
but they're not going to come to Masters
Yeah.
Union because
Yeah.
India wasn't a factor that they
Yeah. So
considered.
first thing is sell the India story.
Yes, like why should they come to India? And like Lucinda mentioned, like educating them about what does it mean coming to India. Like last year, we had 2 students that came to India.
Okay.
I being Indian, I created like a presentation, got Barry through his foreigner lens that's lived in India to look at that,
Yeah.
to just explain to them what does it mean coming to India.
Yeah.
And if the university would give that briefing, like in terms of you come here, this is the kind of life, this is the festivals that people celebrate, this is culturally you understand the nuances that you can or cannot do in certain countries. Because as an outsider, when they look at India, again, they look at India as this one group where, depending on where you're studying, it's very different.
Yeah.
Celebrations change, colors change, food changes. So I think getting students to consider that, or universities explaining that. And I think, again, you mentioned they need to go grassroots level in terms of getting counselors to understand that that's a safe option.
Yeah.
Unless we believe there's proof of concept, there's no way any of us are going to back a university just because we've seen a virtual tour or we've seen their website. Because a lot of times your credibility comes in because you've said, this is a good university. Just because you've seen marketing material or handed over a brochure, but you're not sure, is it actually good, especially when it's non-traditional. Like the standard of each university is going to vary in India. So you can't have all of them on the same benchmark. So us understanding, yes, this university is good for business. This is good for STEM, and this is why it's good for STEM. And I think that's where, if you have counselor buy-in, when students are considering, we can put that on the table or tell them, yeah, it's actually a good fit for you because of these reasons, not only because India is a cheap option.
Absolutely. It is such a wonderful piece of advice, Francisco. I think that word that you said, India is not just a cheap option. I used to talk about when I traveled with Ashoka, and we used to say, I mean, we are going to give you full scholarship and a stipend. I mean, to come and study at a world-class university, by the way. It's not a cheap university. I mean, it's better than some of the other universities around the world. And when these students used to walk in to Ashoka campus, I mean, and then 3 years after they graduate, they were totally transformed. And they had all the opportunities in the world open. I mean, some of my students at Ashoka used to go for summer program at Sciences Po in Paris, and then in Stanford, and all the top institutions. And then they were taught by people from these institutions, and then having that exposure of India as a country. I mean, I think it totally transformed them, and I think thank you for bringing that up. I really resonate with it. Barry, your experience, I mean, you have a unique vantage point. I mean, you...
For me, as a foreigner,
Yeah.
the two things that I think, and one's small and one's probably beyond our scope, but the first one is many universities need to be looking at how do they bring in the foreigners and support them
Yes.
when they arrive.
Yeah.
You know, Franco was talking about this is all of these different things that you may expect, but what are the struggles? And there are struggles for foreigners that they're going to face, and being able to navigate those in a safe and compassionate way. And I think there are some universities, Indian universities, but we could probably talk about this, globally. Yeah. There are some universities that do that orientation well and support for a long period well, and there are others that need to understand the people that are coming. The second thing is what we mentioned off the podcast before. It's about what are the pathways once you're finished, and what are the pathways for foreign students in India. It's difficult for foreign students. They can't work. There's no pathway forward for them, and those things are beyond the scope of a university. It's a much bigger picture.
Policy level.
Yeah, but that needs to be considered. If the country is opening up and encouraging international students to come here for wonderful education and wonderful life experiences, maybe they need to be looking at how do we allow them, foreign students, to also become part of the community.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with both of your
But
points.
I don't have the answer.
We don't have the answer. But I think that first point, that when you said the ecosystem at the university level has to be developed, because we are so new in terms of I'm talking about here the international students coming to Indian campuses. I think we need to be ready as Indian institutions to handle that aspect, because people coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, and coming and trying to adjust. And as Franco said, India is a huge country. Living in Pune is very different than living in Delhi, and living in Mumbai or Goa or Bangalore. It's a totally different experience. And just educating these kids and just trying to give them that space of just doing a comfortable landing in that institution, in that culture, so that they get to feel comfortable. Traveling to anywhere, any new place or a culture is a difficult transition, and more so when you are transitioning for 3 years, 4 years of your life, and you are young, maybe at an undergraduate level. And we do that even for Western universities like US and UK, and all these places also have that kind of good universities will have that help at support to be provided to these students. I had taken your point. I think that's an area that we need to work on as Indian higher education. I think the universities that have worked on this have grown in terms of international student recruitments, and I think that is a very important aspect. Let's say you get 5 students in the first year of your reach to, let's say, Africa, and if those 5 students are not happy, you won't get any other student for any the doors are closed forever. But if those 5 students are happy, you will get 50, you will get 100, and then the word of mouth keeps on happening, and then you become a place. We went to Symbiosis, right? 1971, that university, and 71, or if I'm not correct, but 70s, that university was established as a place for only international students. Symbiosis University. I think we met so many African students there when we were there on that campus, because over so many years they have supported the African students, and now it is just like a de facto choice for these students to come. I think that's a perfect example. Even before, most of our private universities were thinking of going to Africa, the Symbiosis established itself as that place. I think that's the model that more institutions need to follow. And I think coming to the policy level, I totally agree. International students should have a pathway, to do internships, to get a pathway to start working in the country. And you're right, now that we are opening up, we are liberalizing the education sector, and there's so much happening. International universities coming here, setting up campuses. I'm sure now the policies also will adapt, because the sector is undergoing a transformation right now. And hopefully, I think at a policy level, we sort that issue out. And that's a very important issue that has to be resolved, that anybody looking to invest in the Indian education system should have also industry experience and professional experience. And this is a great cue to my final question. This is like learn by doing. We are sitting at Masters Union. We were started just to bridge the gap between industry and academia. We are sitting in a corporate park. Right across we have the Samsung headquarters. Next to this door is Aviva's headquarters. 10-kilometer radius, you have all the big, you name it, tech companies, banking headquarters. So we are big on learn by doing. What is your take from your vantage point? You're all counselors. How important do you think is learning by doing and bridging the industry academia gap, so that students have defined outcomes after their 3 years, 4 years of college, and not just a degree at the end of it? Let's start with Lucinda.
Learning by doing it has to happen, because when a student leaves their home country and comes to another country to study, they have to, after 3 or 4 years, go back home and figure it out. So if they have that experience, it really helps them at least have a voice. So when they come back home and they're doing maybe interviews or they're looking for jobs, it sets them apart from already the local competition that exists. However, if they're coming to study and they have to go back home immediately, remember they've been away for 3 years, so they've not been able to establish that network locally to be able to figure out, okay, I'm in the job market, I'm ready to work, but where do I start? So it gives them a bit of insight into what other corporates would be looking at in, let's say, for example, if they're here in India and they go back home, they're able to transfer some of that expertise and knowledge into a local context, but they're also coming with already an international or diverse approach to solving problems, right? Or a different outlook onto how whatever market or industry they're getting into can be able to establish themselves or grow. So they're coming with a very niche set of skills. Work experience is such an important element of education. Students would not be able to succeed if they're not able to practice what they're learning. So,
absolutely. Thank you so much, Lucinda. Francisco?
I think learn by doing is a great concept as long as it's delivered. And I think speaking to your students from Masters Union just this morning, you see they're excited about it. They are literally pitching their idea, what they're building on, to us. Just before the podcast, we had someone talking so excitedly about what he's building. And I think that's what you want in a student. Like we talk about the AI world and AI changing jobs and all of that stuff. And I think what will differentiate the students that are graduating would be the skills that they develop. And I think what Masters Union's concept of learn by doing gets them ready for the workforce. It's not just your graduation degree. You're actually learning stuff that you can employ. It's like a soft landing into the industry. You already have your concepts right. You've already pitched your ideas. You might already generate funds. You've already networked globally, which is what Masters Union is doing. So it might not only be country specific. So I think that's a great concept and allows students to be industry ready.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Franco, for noticing that. And I'm sure you'll meet many of my more students that will come to you and pitch their business ideas. They're all hungry and they are looking to talk to you. I can vouch for that. For last 2 weeks, I have been, advising them, building edtech products, So they are, these are unique students. I want to, say these are first year undergraduate students, second year undergraduate students who are now thinking of solving problems and building businesses. It is such a joy for me to also see that these kids are so driven. They're so hungry to, find out more and how can I do better. And this place has actually executed it so well. I'll give you an example. The first semester they come in, they have a course called drop shipping. The drop shipping course, you have to build a real business, and you will get to see a lot of their products. It's like Amazon, an e-commerce website where you don't need to manufacture something. You're connecting buyers to sellers through an e-commerce platform. That is what they build, and that's the easiest business to build. And all of my students in first semester, they get to work first hand on with technology. They build their website, they build content. You will see the content creator finale at our Sunday. Then they are happy dealing with logistics, operations, negotiations, product delivery, customer service, first semester. That's why now till the time they reach second year, they are all set with their ideas and they want to execute, and they are, we are funding them, as the student was telling you. He got a grant from Masters Union. So thank you for noticing that. Finally, coming to Barry, your thoughts on learn by doing.
Learn by doing, experiential education, all of those things, those programs are great. The person I want to speak to is the ones that have struggled with that. And I'm not trying to put a downer here on the excitement, because you have some fantastic students and you will have fantastic students who are doing wonderful things, but experiential education, learn by doing, can also be a struggle. It's challenging, it's competitive, and it would be great to hear from those students who haven't necessarily got the skills yet. Absolutely. They may have them later on, to find out from them how the learn by doing model is also how is it supportive? How have they grown, and what do they need to reach reach their potential?
Thank you so much for bringing that in. When we started the undergraduate program, and a lot of the students used to come to us. So what is this learn by doing? And I used to, and all of us, even Pratham and Swati and all of the founders here, they used to say, maybe, it is not for everyone. We agree. Learn by doing, it's not for everyone. Maybe you enjoy more traditional mode of learning. Maybe you are not comfortable working in a very high pressure kind of an environment, because it is very competitive to build a business and then manage academics, and then so it is for sure not everybody's cup of tea. But we are very open about it, and we are very open as an institution, saying, okay, this is what we are, and please talk to our students and find out more about what is it to be a student at Masters Union, and is it something that you would like to do. I think we are, so that's why we host so many. I think every day we have campus tours. Every day we have students coming in, talking to our current students, senior students, our parents. India parents are big influencers in college choices. So we have our parent groups where parents talk about the experience of being a parent at Masters Union. What is it like? So thank you for bringing that perspective in. Absolutely with you. Learn by doing may not be everybody's cup of tea, but for those who love learn by doing, I think Masters Union and we have been able to get some very, very bright students that are doing phenomenal work. And I can go on and on about the work, but we are short on time. But thank you so much for being here with us. Looking forward to next 3 days with you at Intersect 5, and perfect start with the podcast. And welcome again, once again, to the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
for having us.
It's been great.
Thank you.